Thanks for coming, Don.
How you doing?
Mike, how are you?
I'm Julie.
Hey, Julie?
Yes.
Adrian, we wondered if you were, going to sport there a second.
Looked like you're headed for the
You were
door.
heading for the door.
Don just got better.
This is really just an intervention.
Yeah. Step into the light.
Put your name.
All right.
Are we all ready? I'd like to call the joint board meeting of January 27th to order. Before our roll call, I would like to ask the board to recognize proxy for Julie Griffith. Mr. Mike Piggott has been requested by Julie to serve in her absence, so I'd entertain a motion to recognize such as the proxy. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Ken moved. Seconded by Tim Clark. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of allowing Mr. Mike Piggott to serve as proxy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. With that,
Welcome, Mike.
Abby, would you call the roll, please?
We're all here.
We are.
Tim Clark,
Here.
David Buck,
Here.
Chandler Poole,
Here.
Ken Sandel,
Here.
Mike Piggott,
Here.
Abby Daniels here.
You may want
All are present.
All present. Thank you. First item of business is the approval of minutes from our September 18th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Poole, motion. Mr. Sandel, seconded. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none, call the question. Those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Okay, on to old business. First order of old business is collaboration map approval and a public comment opportunity. At our previous meeting, we introduced a couple of maps that we've been working on. Chandler, you want to go through those and give us a little history on that?
Yeah, as you can see on the big board there and in your packets and on the table back there, there are smaller versions of these maps. And one of the things that we're looking at as a joint board was where do we operate here in West Lafayette? What's our sphere of influence? What areas do we want to look at as far as redevelopment and have a say and an opinion on, which we'll also get into some of the other stuff further down on the agenda. But the maps were brought into, were presented last time, showing roughly the areas that we'd like to have a say in, so far as development, so far as do we like it, do we not like it, can we work with the developer, can we work with the city, the university, all that good stuff, as a joint board, coming together as one voice. The big map shows, or the map that on the right-hand side there, that is called portrait, is kind of the overall view of the area that we're considering. Then we have a blow-up area there on the landscape side that shows that the area of influence or collaboration follows the New Chauncey land use plan. We didn't want to have to compete with the New Chauncey land use plan. We didn't want to, I guess, go against it. We wanted to basically embrace it and celebrate what 3 years of work with that community in that area of the city came up with, and so we followed that area along there. So we're actually celebrating it and I think respecting that boundary. So kind of put that out there for discussion and for consideration for approval, as that would be the area we'd like to operate within.
Very good. At this time, I guess I would open the podium for any members of the public that would like to make a comment to the map or any opinions about the area, or just any public comment about our collaboration zone? Are there any members of the public? You guys don't have to. Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public comment section. Are there any questions from the board members, or did anybody have any concerns about the map after reviewing it since the last meeting?
I'd like to make one comment, if I could.
Sure.
I believe the small pages that were on the table, we've referred to this as a buffer zone. These maps up here refer to it as a primary precinct. I think what we've branded, or at least labeled it on the news sheets, is a city campus community collaboration zone, reflective of the fact that what we intend as part of this zone is for activities that are, as Chandler mentioned, that relate to the community, the campus, and the city. So we think this title is more reflective of the purpose. So I just wanted to note that difference that you see on the various pages. So.
I think it's called alliteration when you have the city, campus, community.
We need a new C3.
4CZ. 4CZ. It is the 4CZ. That might be the name right there. 4CZ.
I'm done. Can I go on?
No.
4CZ.
Yeah, we still need to be here. Any other relevant comments on the map?
Just for identification purposes then, we're calling the zoomed in map, which is to our left right now. What are we calling that one versus the other?
Well, that's actually just an enlarged segment
Sure.
of the big one. It just kind of shows that we follow the new Chauncey land
Sure.
use plan.
Does it have a special name? Map 1, map 2?
Just a blow up,
Yeah.
just a larger
Thank you.
scale to be able to see more detail in that area of red on the actual map. The actual map should be the one on the right-hand side.
Okay.
The zone is what is dashed in black,
Okay.
the dashed black line.
Okay.
I don't have one of those, but does that include, is that the new Chauncey neighborhood, or does that also include, no?
No, it follows the redevelopment opportunities in the new Chauncey land use plan, which goes in
Okay.
about 2-3 blocks, but the rest of the area is not included.
Okay.
What was the zoning that followed?
Depends.
It can be high density, it can be medium density. It's just the area that was identified for redevelopment.
Yeah.
That's very. Okay, any other comments regarding the maps? This time I would entertain a motion to approve the maps as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the maps signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Maps are approved. The next item of business is a petition to the Area Plan Commission of Tippecanoe County for recognition as a checkpoint agency. I think on the table and then also in your packets, there has been a draft letter that was created by myself and would serve as that request to the director of the Area Plan Commission. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at that letter? And if so, are there any comments regarding the letter? It references the previously just adopted maps as the zone where we would like to be notified for normal dealings of the Area Plan Commission, normal filings of the Area Plan Commission regarding such things as subdivisions, zoning changes, variance requests, and special exception requests for properties that are located within this zone. A very high percentage of those properties are all either owned by Purdue University or PRF, which may or may not even require any of those filings, but there are several in the city campus community collaboration zone that are privately held that from time to time, as projects and redevelopment things come along, this board would then get, by standard operations, a notice of that, and we could respond accordingly, either call a special meeting and discuss the item that is being considered and the filing that's being made, and decide from there whether we have an opinion on that or not. So, again, any questions or comments regarding the letter? No punctuation changes, no grammatical errors, nothing? I would entertain a motion then to approve the letter, and we will get it sent out tomorrow.
So moved.
Seconded?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the letter signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Letter has been approved, so we will petition APC with this letter tomorrow. Next item of old business has to do with development guidelines and standards, and I'm going to turn that over to Chandler and possibly Ken to cover.
One of the big reasons for the actual zone, collaboration zone, is the fact that we're looking at State Street as really a driver for some economic redevelopment opportunities. The annexation, of course, brought us closer together as well. But taking a look at what we want to see as a joint board, what kind of influence we want to have in this area, what kind of a bar we want to set for any future development in the general area. So looking at development guidelines, some standards, completely envision the area that would be, I guess, privately held property off campus would have to go through a public process. So we completely agree in engaging the public on that and taking a look at some of the design standards the city currently has, but also looking at some that are currently employed either up in the research park or on campus, and finding a way to use as a jumping off point to start the discussion with the public on the privately held areas, so we can work as a team, if you will, to develop an idea of what we want to see in this area. What's the bar we want everyone to try to jump over so far as making good, solid development choices and making sure that those areas that are ripe for redevelopment along the university border, along Northwestern, or in the State Street area in the city, but also maybe going out to 231 corridor. What do we want to see? And what do we want to try to, I guess I would say, push people to do, but there's an opportunity to do things right. And I think by engaging some development standards and some guidelines, we can really make that happen. So I guess I'd ask that the joint board start exploring some development standards and guidelines, the process that would be involved in that, gathering the current standards from the city, PRF, and the university, and then looking at a process. Eventually possibly engaging a firm to help engage and facilitate that public process. So we make sure that it's done correctly and with as much community involvement as possible.
I'll chime in about, you just mentioned the existing standards that some of us may have, and I don't know fully what all both the university and maybe even the research park may already have standing as adopted development guidelines and standards, but the city does have a set, many times revised, of development guidelines and standards, from everything from how wide a street needs to be, how thick the pavement needs to be, based on what type of street it is, how wide the sidewalk should be, how thick they need to be, what type of stone. It's much more technical in nature as far as the types of things our development standards and guidelines get into. But I think we're envisioning something that then brings into some of the concepts and ideas presented in the State Street Master Plan, things that maybe we're already considering in the Perimeter Parkway concepts, to pull everything together in this specific area of the city between now 231 is built, a new 231 corridor on the west, and the Wabash River and kind of West Lafayette downtown on the east, and would like a kind of specific or site-specific, collaboration zone-specific set of these guidelines and standards.
I know one thing that the university and the Research Foundation engaged in several years back when the commercial development plan was put into play was a draft set of district guidelines that we would like to kind of offer to the table, that was focused on enhancing the character of development, enhancing the quality of place, enhancing economic development opportunities. I think that's all consistent with what we've talked about. So I think I talked to Mike Klein, the Vice President for Physical Facilities, just prior to this meeting, about the possible outcome of this would be an action by the joint board to ask that the university, PRF, and the city bring back to the board a set of guidelines. So as opposed to, us formally doing it, requesting the entities bring that
Agreed.
back for future action of the board. If that could be a potential motion, I guess.
So moved from the chair. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We actually had a very similar discussion prior to the meeting as well. And so I think we're very much online with that and asking and tasking the staffs of the various agencies to kind of do the lifting of that and then come back similar to maybe some future agenda items to ask this board to endorse that. Any other discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor of requesting the University, the Purdue Research Foundation, and, I made the motion
Dave, sorry.
to request Purdue, I'm going to kind of better, I said so moved from the
I
chair.
suggested a
He
motion.
requested somebody. Come on, get your Robert's Rules of
I
Order out.
only suggested.
I don't have
Yeah, you don't have rules. I'm trying to state the actual formation of the motion for Abby, that the joint board requests the university, the Purdue Research Foundation, and the city of West Lafayette to engage as they deem necessary to develop a set of development guidelines and standards from potentially already developed standards that would be specific for our collaboration zone that we've adopted earlier. So, wordsmith that as good as you can, Abby. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that's it for old business. On to new business. First item under new business is the joint board move to endorse the State Street Master Plan. Before we do that, we've requested that our consultant in Cascade, Mr. Eric Lucas, provide the board with a brief history of time on the State Street Master Plan effort that we've done collectively over the last 12 to 18 months, I suppose. So, Eric, would you like to take the floor, please?
Thank you. I won't fly through the presentations because I know a lot of you are familiar with it, and you've seen it before. But of course, this was a collaboration between Purdue, PRF, and the city. And the study boundary really extends from the highway all the way down to the river along State Street itself. Major piece of this project is the perimeter parkway, allowing the sort of the reduction in the amount of traffic on State Street, which allows us to rethink the function and the character of State Street itself. And the scope of the study was really to talk about function and character, and also the implementation strategy of the project. As Dave mentioned, we began our work back in October of 13, and it extended all the way through June of last year, 14. And then so we started out, we took a look back through the history. Of course, the corridor has changed quite a bit. It was through the village area, quite a commercial corridor back in the 40s and 50s. Today's character is much different than that. Suburbanization in the 60s really altered the appearance of the corridor, and the emergence of the state highway really took effect there in a more auto-oriented environment. The village in the 1990s, the patterns changed from a two-way flow of traffic to a one-way flow of traffic, which really impacted businesses. And they would tell you, business owners would tell you that the volume of sales went down by 60% or so through the district as a result of the change here. Of course, today's character, State Street, follows similar patterns, very suburban and sort of auto-oriented at the very eastern end of the corridor. Lower density land use with surface parking lots and a wide sort of cross-section here of the street. Through the village, the character changes again back to the more historic, dense development, multi-story, very tight corridor here, made even tighter on football Saturdays by the installation of the barriers. Through campus, the street obviously opens back up again, and you can see the four-lane condition, more of the state highway appearance here, with the center median originally viewed as sort of a pedestrian amenity and a traffic calming device, but ultimately encourages kids on campus and others too to sort of cross at their leisure. As you move toward the west, obviously the street changes again, more rural, and all the way out to the west toward the end of the project is very rural with a lack of infrastructure. no sidewalks, no street lighting, no drainage. So the change happens over time, obviously. Again, in the 40s and 50s, very much a downtown area through the village. Lots of businesses, groceries, drugstores, and in today's conditions, much more about students through the village. And we deal with a lot of challenges with jaywalking and folks really not paying attention. And that's not only students, but others on campus as well are all sort of guilty of that. So as we began our work, again, back in October, the first thing we did was we did a lot of listening, and we went through about 20 or 25 different studies that the city, the county, the university had sort of undertaken since the late 90s all the way to the current time. Tried to understand what kind of recommendations in those reports really applied to State Street so that we could carry those forward. We worked with a lot of neighborhood groups and property owners, representatives from the university, and other focus groups and stakeholder groups in smaller sessions throughout the project. We did that on 4 different occasions to really understand the issues and the motivations from those particular groups and to really dial in on how to address them. We used social media quite extensively throughout the project. We had Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts. We did 2 online surveys where we had quite a few residents participate, not only from this city, but from Lafayette and the county as well, so we got a cross-section of people who visit the district. We also did lots of sessions in the library here and on campus as well, where we listened, and we took away from that sort of these 8 themes that became the foundation of the plan. We won't go through all of these, but these really set up the proposals that you'll see here in just a second. A couple of key ones was that people really did want to see what's happening here today, and that's a collaboration between the 3 entities, but really a shared vision. I think that's what the plan really embodies. And I think people are really interested in integrating modes of transportation more effectively than is currently out there today. And I think the last one I'll point out here is, and this is really a strong point from the business owners, they really wanted to understand how the plan could really support economically diverse districts throughout the seasons, even when students are gone in the summer and the winter as well for breaks. So big ideas emerged, including a new downtown entrance, a different solution for River Road, which, as you know, is a very challenging intersection. A return to 2-way streets, which was, again, part of the Perimeter Parkway study that the county, the city, and the university had been undertaking for quite a while. And how to address this new front door all the way to the very western corridor. So the big high-level overview of the street and how it changes. This is US 231 on the west. This is the river on the east. In terms of the traffic and the number of lanes, we're looking at 4 lanes of traffic, 2 in each direction, from the river to River Road, and then 4 lanes from the highway over to Airport Road. That's where State Street intersects the Perimeter Parkway. So at that point, traffic is kind of peeling off north and south and being distributed to the Perimeter Parkway. In between, we're looking at 2 lanes, 1 in each direction, with left turn lanes at intersections. We're also looking at a continuous bike path that's separated from travel, both pedestrian and vehicular travel on the north side of the road. We're looking at wider sidewalks throughout the entire district along the corridor. And we're looking at the street trees and other things as well that aren't out there today. So the new downtown entrance that we referenced, right at the foot of the bridge here, right at the landing of the bridge, at Tapwingo Drive is depicted in this sort of plan view. We only have 2 plans in here, so you don't have to try to figure these things out too much. But so this is Tapwingo Drive, and you can see we're proposing a roundabout, and we're proposing to remove the parking lot out in front of Wabash Landing today, and replace that with 2 lanes of traffic that are westbound, 2 lanes of traffic that are eastbound, parallel parking to both sides of those, and then a boulevard median in the middle. At River Road, again, another roundabout to really clean up the circulation there. This will help effectively move the high volume of traffic through the intersection. Also clears up how pedestrians and bikes move through here. It provides safe crossing points and landing areas where folks on foot or on bike only have to cross 2 lanes of traffic at any given time. We're also suggesting that Brown Street closes or does not connect into the intersection, which again is a safety measure. Again, we did a lot of learning and listening after we presented some of these ideas. We got a lot of good feedback about the direction of the plan, and really allowed us to kind of fine-tune the plan and finish up our work. I will point out, one of the things that we really found to be significant in the work was that quality of place really does matter. That's you. My phone is actually holding up the projector. Surprised it's not vibrated off the table. But, so when we presented some of these new ideas about what State Street could become, we asked folks, would that cause you to visit or want to live along the corridor or want to have an office or work along the corridor? And overwhelmingly, we asked that question of each sort of area along the corridor, and people said yes, 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 and all that. So the quality of place really does, to the conversation earlier, matter in terms of economic development and really trying to recreate a downtown West Lafayette. So sometimes it's easier sort of illustrated through pictures rather than words. And of course, today's condition at the Wabash Landing, I mentioned earlier, and you all know it, the diagonal parking in front, which kind of causes some problems with traffic out on State Street and Roebuck Drive. And we've all circled it and circled and circled it. It can be cumbersome. The future condition, the proposed condition, suggests that the road again sort of hugs the buildings. You can clearly see the separated bike path from the sidewalk and from the road. Off to the left, you can make out the boulevard, the new green space that would be the entrance to the city. In this sequence, you'll see that a little bit better. This is obviously standing right in the middle of State Street, looking toward the west. And here you can see that boulevard. Off to the right is the westbound lanes of traffic with parallel parking. Fairly off, you can barely make it out off to the left. There's the eastbound lanes of traffic that would head back into Lafayette. And you can see some of the character of this green space and how it really speaks to the river environment. Of course, we're down in the valley and close to the Wabash. Up in the village, obviously, we're very tight. Corridor changes. The proposed conditions suggest wider sidewalks, permanent railings that take the place of temporary barricades that are erected on football Saturdays. Barely make it out. There's a bike lane over here that is separated again from the traffic lanes. And the use of color to really kind of give a sense of identity to the district. The color sort of embodies the descriptions that the community used to describe the village in terms of diversity, energy, vibrancy. Those are the kinds of words people use to describe this district. And the color is representative of that. Standing outside of Gray House, this is the view today. In the future, with sort of the minor traffic alteration, we are looking at a new plaza space, sort of a small gathering area that could be programmed by the city. It could be informal gatherings. Certainly a sort of a hub of activity that the city doesn't have in its most vibrant district, and you can sort of see some of the infrastructure of spotlights and overhead cables that could support small outdoor concerts and other things. Festivals occur on South Street today, and again, through simple infrastructure solutions, spotlights, and other things, we can sort of maybe support those as more year-round events. Through the campus, again, the road sort of widens out, and the idea is to actually reallocate space between the curbs. We're looking to more or less keep the curbs in their current location, but within those curb lines, just sort of redistribute the space to accommodate bikes in a separated situation here between the bike lanes and the travel lanes of the cars. And that's because we're taking some of those lanes out of the street. And you can also see the street trees here and the wider sidewalks through campus. The identifier piece through campus really sort of stemmed out of some of the recommendations in the Purdue Master Plan of 2009. This is a view today of State Street looking back to the east. And in the 2009 Purdue Master Plan, there was a lot of discussion about State Street becoming a unifier, not a divider of campus. And the plan suggests that one way to accomplish that is to create these collaboration spaces, about 8 of them or so along the corridor, located at really high pedestrian activity areas. And there's a lot of people out there today, bus stops or intersections or major buildings. And these are simple spaces of benches and some kind of an overhead element that really kind of is a unique piece on campus and really helps to identify the campus. All the way out to the west, of course, it's pretty sleepy, and there's not a lot there, but one can imagine in the future new development. To support new development, we're suggesting the extension of that infrastructure, curbs, sidewalks, street lights, and the bike lanes all the way up to the highway, to really sort of set the table for new development and sort of this new expanded economic opportunity all the way out to the new 231. So with that, you have to answer questions if you have any.
I have a question about, silly question about roundabouts. What statistics do you have on, I'm specifically thinking of State and River, because it is a major intersection, on whether or not people know what they're doing in a roundabout, whether that would be
Nope.
a accident zone or, you know.
I think we've learned as a community, maybe the one at Jaegers taught us, a lot. I think, that roundabouts, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago were a pretty foreign concept in this state, and Carmel really sort of changed that. Now Noblesville, Fishers, West Lafayette are becoming communities where you see roundabouts, more and more often. Cumberland, a lot of roundabouts along Cumberland as well. So I think it's a matter of people getting used to it, and I think the idea has been introduced here in this community. And when we started the project, we heard a lot of pushback on roundabouts in October. And by the time we took that survey, there was a lot of support for roundabouts. We asked the question of not only motorists, but bicyclists and pedestrians. Would you prefer the traffic signal that exists there today, or would you prefer this roundabout condition? And about 60 to 65% of all those groups said they would prefer the roundabout. So I think it's a matter of community acceptance.
Great question. I won't chime in.
That's the most popular question we had throughout the entire project.
I support the roundabout. I'm not supported by that.
As do I.
One of the, I will say one thing, I guess. The footprint of the signalized intersection that's there today, if you stop and think about it, you have 4 lanes going one direction into the signal with typically a right-hand turn lane, 2 straight lanes, and a left-hand turn lane, a small median, and then coming out of the intersection, you usually have at least 2 lanes as well. So you've got basically 6 lanes of traffic, and that roundabout's only going to need 2 or 4, 2 lanes each direction. So the footprint might seem like it's going to be bigger. If it is bigger, it's really only bigger at the corners because the intersection is already so large. So on a scale, it's not quite as big as you might think.
Yeah.
So
And instead of crossing those 6 lanes at any given time, you're only crossing 2
as a pedestrian.
as a pedestrian.
Obviously, you were involved in all the input feedback that you demonstrated here. How's the conversations changed since you introduced this? What have you been hearing since?
I think there's a lot of support, actually. When we first sat down with the business owners in particular, there was a lot of hesitation and skepticism about this. They'd been through it before with the village, change, and I think people were really sort of scared about what this might mean. I think most, if not all, are on board. We've had some really good support, good feedback, and that's why we get people around the table, because honestly, we want that kind of interaction. I think we're hearing good things in general, on those sides of the river. I think people on the other side are excited about it too, as we sort of make the presentation and as we made the presentation during the project. I think people are really excited.
Any other questions for Eric? No.
Thanks for the presentation.
All right.
Thank you, Eric. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion for endorsement of the State Street Master Plan. Is there such a motion? Somebody want
I
to get on the record?
certainly would make a motion, or to at least formally state from at least Purdue's standpoint, this is so consistent with a number of the activities that we're currently engaged in. We'll shorten the actual motion here, but from Purdue moves to what we're doing with Perimeter Parkway to just our drive for continually looking at ways to make the campus more safe. Tens of thousands of students cross State Street every day, so this type of enhancement would be very, very important, and a total drive for improving the quality of place. And so this is very consistent with that, consistent with the master plans. So, in terms of a move to endorse this and reflecting that the goals and the vision for this plan are very consistent with what we're trying to achieve. Did you get all that?
I have the motion as
Plan good.
It's a good thing.
The goals and
Ken moves that the board endorse the State Street Master Plan. You want more than that? Sir?
sounds good. That its goals and visions are consistent with how we would like to move forward. We can put that in discussion.
You want to second it?
I will second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to endorse the State Street Master Plan. Is there any discussion or additional comments?
I might just throw out that, after all the discussion of the Good to Great plan in the community, that when this happens, this would be the showcase of all of that, all the different elements. I think it would make us communities of choice.
We're going to wrestle about that all the time. Choices.
The community of choices, yes. Wherever the S is.
Plan good.
Who was that?
Speechwriter.
Speechwriter.
It's him.
I'll take it. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Our next item of new business is engagement with Barnes & Thornburg, and I believe Mr. Burns is going to approach the board regarding this.
Yes, Eric Burns, Corporation Counsel for West Lafayette. I'm here today with Adrian Allen, who's Purdue Counsel. Steve Schultz and Adrian Allen and I have been working through, thinking through, and trying to decide what the optimal legal structure might be when we get down to brass tacks and get this State Street Master Plan moving forward. And as part of that conversation, Steve and Adrian and I have agreed that to bring some high-level expertise in the form of the firm of Barnes & Thornburg would be a good idea. Our goal is to find a legal structure, and there are many, and there are various. And there could be some that would be put together, various ones put together to serve this project, but to leave no stone unturned to make sure that we have economy, efficiency, and transparency is the goal. And so in order to do that, we believe that the firm of Barnes & Thornburg would be excellent at that. They have a high level of expertise and great experience in this area. And we have asked that Matt Morgan from the firm be here today to just introduce himself, give you some brief idea about the experience of the firm and himself in this. And so this is not an action item. I'm not asking for any vote on anything today, but we would like the commission to have Matt come up and introduce himself in the front.
Very good.
That work?
That's great. Thank you. Matt?
So as Eric said, my name is Matt Morgan. I'm an attorney at the Barnes & Thornburg Law Firm in Indianapolis. And we as a firm have had the privilege over the last couple of years to work with both the university and the city on various matters. So we have a relationship and an understanding of both of them. And there's no formal action item today. It was simply to say that as this brain trust here, along with the city and the university, decide various paths to go, there will always be the requirement of kind of some higher level decision making and the thoughtfulness about legal processes. So with that being said, I'm just going to really introduce myself. It seems like whenever the firm has something at Purdue or in West Lafayette, they send me. I went to Purdue University. I was actually student body president in 2003, 2004, so I seem to be the token representative of Purdue University whenever it comes to these matters. But I love being that because I love the university, I love the community, and it's amazing to see this and to think of my time in the various committees that they had me participate in when I was here, and to see this and to see where this joint board could be going in the future. It's a tremendous step. So I'm very proud just even to sit here to be able to present to you today. My background and the firm's background is we are the largest Indiana-based law firm. We have offices in Indianapolis, South Bend, Fort Wayne, and Elkhart. We also have offices spread throughout the country, but those are neither heretofore, other than to say that given the modern age and technology, we really can't call on any of our lawyers in any of our offices. We actually have about 600 attorneys in all practice areas and disciplines. I'm in what we call our government services group, which means we focus on public finance, procurement, municipal law, state law, anything that a government or a public institution would need by way of advice. We are a multidisciplinary team that can provide that advice, whether it's from real estate to something that could even be intellectual property down the road. And so we really do offer a full service, and we have offered those services to the university and to West Lafayette along the way. So this is all very exciting for us. We have a full team, a team that's very excited to hopefully participate in our own way. You're represented by great counsel who are both here today, and they kind of guide the ship on the day-to-day, the blocking and tackling, and we always view our role and our responsibility as providing kind of the air support that they may need along the way to make sure they get the things done and done quickly and timely. So, but that being said, I didn't have much of a formal presentation. I'll be here afterwards to chat and interact just on kind of who I am and who we are and what we do. But thank you for allowing us to kind of introduce ourselves today, and we hope to be seeing you around.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda are project updates. And Ken, do you want to provide any from the university side? Or
If I could, I'd like to invite Don Peterson, our Managing Director for Energy and Construction. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
How about that? To just kind of talk a little bit about some of the updates on some of the Purdue projects.
Thank you, Ken. I'm going to talk to you quickly about a couple of main projects that are on campus that kind of affect the joint board as far as traffic and how you get around campus a little bit here from starting now until the projects are done. The first one I was going to talk to you about is Honors College, which is located at 3rd and Russell, and it extends 2 blocks to the south. And is a location of the former brownstone apartment buildings. And you haven't been down Russell Street
Thanks for taking
recently.
thanks for taking those down.
Yeah, they are gone. It took a couple weeks, and they came down pretty quick. So it's two.
They're on Friday and gone on Monday.
Yeah.
Sort of like the ENAC,
But that's where the Honors College is going to go. To bring up a little bit about that, we had to take some traffic lanes off of Russell Street and the parking lane off of Russell Street to create a safe environment to do the demolition and to do the work. And you see concrete Jersey barriers and fencing along Russell Street there, which works out fine because it's a very wide street. The traffic flow is not huge going down Russell Street being a one-way street. So the barriers you see there and the additional traffic signal or stop signs we have down on 1st Street and closing off 2nd Street will remain intact until the project is complete in fall 2016. So that's basically the recap on what's happening in Russell Street for the Honors College project. For detailed information regarding street closures and things like that, located on the physical facilities website. Just click the construction notices and maps link, and it takes you right to any kind of updates you might have there as far as any additional closures. But truck traffic will be coming in and out along Russell and coming into the job site through Russell Street basically, and keeping the traffic through the construction going through Russell Street there and then head back out.
Could you please provide that link to Abby and Aaron?
Sure.
We get that in a minute.
Sure, please. I'll give it to you right now. But it's
probably-
www.purdue.edu/physical facilities.
I thought it'd be more complicated.
Well, luckily, it's right here.
Let's get the homepage.
There on your own. Memorize myself.
/tilde, whatever.
Dave, I'm shocked that it's not more complicated.
Yeah, we try to keep that easy. The other main project going on campus is the Active Learning Center. It's kind of tucked into campus a little bit more. It's right behind the Purdue Mall, where the location of the former power plant was at. Again, that is all gone. It's demolished in its history, and pretty soon we'll start excavation and start the construction for the Active Learning Center. A lot of the truck traffic will be coming in and out through the Purdue Mall and down 3rd Street. It's pretty much fenced off and barricaded off to protect the students in a similar fashion that Honors College is. So those are the 2 main projects going on campus right now that really kind of affect traffic flow and how things are going on. The rest of the projects we have are a smaller variety that you wouldn't even know are happening.
Great.
So any questions?
Anyone else?
I noticed the street cleaners were very active cleaning for
Yes.
the ALC project, so they're all right on top of that.
Yeah, they need to be.
Are there any other Purdue items? I'll quickly update from the city side. We are still working on signal timings along Northwestern Avenue as a part of our Northwestern Avenue Phase 3 improvements from Grant Street up to Dodge. We've installed a couple new traffic signals and several new pedestrian railings, I'm sure most of you have seen. We've been collecting data on those new traffic signals as well as pedestrian crossings to better time the traffic signals. Some implementation and changes were made at the beginning of the spring semester, back the second week in January actually, and we've made a second tweak to that here recently. So I hope that you're seeing some differences and improvements actually on the traffic along Northwestern Avenue. I made all green lights southbound for the first time myself right this afternoon, so I can attest that they're at least working some of the time.
But you have a switch in your car.
I have a beacon in my car, yeah. No, I don't. Not yet.
Let the record show.
Not yet. Strike that.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Excuse me?
Yeah, like I said, not yet. And we're also actively working and designing a fourth phase of improvements, and we've been working with representatives from Purdue and our engineering consultant for additional pedestrian improvements at the Grant Street intersection at Northwestern and coming south to a new development at the corner of North and Northwestern, where there's kind of a 5 points intersection with Vine Street, Northwestern, and North Street. The former Barbary liquor store has been torn down, and a 5-story
Yes.
mixed-use apartment building is going up. They're actually making great progress and should be well on their way to opening for fall of 2015 with that apartment complex and Barbary being relocated into the first floor of commercial, as well as I believe Granite Management has announced that they're going in with their management office there. So the activities and pedestrian routes will change there at that intersection. It's already very busy pedestrian intersection, as is Grant Street. So look for continued improvements both from a signal equipment and technology standpoint, as well as pedestrian ramps and railings and things of that nature. And then as a part of that same project, starting again at Dodge Street going north all the way up to Lindbergh Road, we have pretty much a lighting project planned and utility relocation project plan that we will dovetail with the same styles of lighting that we've done as a part of Phase 3. And we hope to be able to bid all of that work in mid-April and begin construction mid-May and finish construction mid-August. So those are updates from the city. Does the city have any other updates from you guys? Anything I've left out? All right.
When somebody clicks the pedestrian button on Northwestern crossing in front of MSCE going to the garage, you said you're working on timing.
Yeah.
When you press the button, is it timing that change of signal with both Stadium and Grant?
It depends on the time of day. And quite frankly, during the busiest time of day, the buttons aren't probably going to even be doing anything. They're going to be cycling a pedestrian phase every single time throughout the busiest part of the day. They will be actually actuated during the off-peak times when we're not in coordination mode for those 4 signals. During the majority of the day that you're going to come in contact with it from 7:30, 6:45 in the morning, all the way through to probably 6:45 at night, there's going to be a set sequence that's going to just continually adjust based on the data we collect, so that at the peak times of day, at the peak times of class change period, we'll make some ebb and flow of that timing sequence as best we can, given the physical constraints of how many traffic lanes we have, how far apart the signals are, and those sorts of characteristics. But then in the middle of the night, it's going to just run in free. And so if you go up, at 8 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, push the pedestrian button, it's going to go ahead and cycle and give you that pedestrian phase in a vacuum compared to where the other signals are. The clocks will still be running together, and then they'll sync back up, but not most of the time. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So, traffic engineering 301.
That's 301?
Yeah, probably. Getting up there.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Moving on. Next item is 2015 meeting schedule. Everybody should have got a copy of the proposed today's meeting, as well as 3 other meetings to get on our calendars just for quarterly meetings through the rest of the year, to make sure that we had them on our calendars as placeholders, and a note on there that other meetings can and will be called on an as-needed basis with the appropriate notifications and postings and things of that nature. So, any comments or concerns about the proposed meeting dates? No. From anybody? Okay. And the last item on our agenda is public comment. Are there any members from the public who would like to make a comment at this time? Crickets.
I don't mind.
Hey. All right. Any other members of the public? Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Aye.
Just come up with that. Because that's dinner.
Hey, Bill.
Nope. Sorry. Good
Feeling long, huh? How you doing? Yes, sir. Good. You guys have good. How are you? Did you? Yeah. That's mine. Down here. Yeah. Sure. All you dream of would
I
be
probably should come to these anyway, so.
we want to cover.
Is it between,
It's between South and Columbia.
yeah, I think I
12 West 3rd Street. We're covering it.
Okay, yep.
It's great. Walk out.
Trains bother you? Can you hear them very well?
Never see anything once a month.